Hi, my name is Rebecca Lee, and I co-wrote this book, The Mercury Detoxification Manual, with Andy Cutler, PhD. It explains very clearly and in great detail how to chelate mercury and other heavy metals out of your body. I think that psychological suffering is way worse than physical suffering, and mercury is famous for causing psychological suffering. So before you start messing with it and moving it around, be sure to read this book. And I offer a coaching service which you can access at my website. Maybe it's mercury.com. So the first book that Andy Cutler wrote, though, was this one right here, called Amalgam Illness. Amalgam Illness, Diagnosis and Treatment. And it's hard to read, which is why we wrote the detox manual. Andy said that he wrote it to get the information out of his head, and he never expected anyone would buy it, but they did, and they have been all these years. That's about 22 years. I'm really glad that he got everything out of his head and onto paper. If he had died without doing that, it would have just gone to the grave with him. Still, it is fearfully hard to read. One of my friends said jokingly, it's sort of like reading scripture. And I've read it several times, and I still come across stuff I have no memory of ever having seen. Sometimes I will read something that I didn't know enough to understand when I saw it for the first time, too. The section that is the pithiest, I found, is the one on what to do about mercury poisoning, which talks about things that can go wrong with you when you have too much mercury and what you can do to deal with symptoms while you are detoxing. I'm going to do some videos on that chapter. It will help me figure out what he had to say, and I hope make it clear for all you too. The very first section of this chapter is titled, What to Do If You Can't Get Medical Help. And it is written for most people because there's not much medical help to be had out there. It is a laundry list of supplements to try for symptom relief, and he prefaces it by saying, if you feel terrible and don't know where to start. The suggestions follow fast and furious, and they don't appear to be in any particular order. His advice generally was to try stuff to see what works for you particularly. You are looking for things that will make you feel better while you are addressing your main underlying problem, which is mercury. Keep poring over this book, he tells us, and any other source that seems to be helping you to find more things to try. Ask other people what they did, and if it sounds good, try it. Try things one at a time until you find stuff that works for you. Nowadays, since we wrote the detox manual, we have distilled down the basic starting supplements to the core four and adrenal and liver support. But let's see what he had to say 23 years ago when he wrote Amalgam Illness. He starts off by saying to get some B complex, either 50s or 100s, and take them once or twice a day, or better yet, divide them up and take them 3 or 4 times a day. Take 1 gram of vitamin C with each meal and at bedtime. Take 100 milligrams of magnesium with each meal and at bedtime, and after a few weeks, increase this to 200 milligrams at a time. Take 400 to 1,000 international units of vitamin D a day. Take 75 to 200 milligrams of coenzyme Q10 per day. Take 50 milligrams of zinc a day. Take 10 or more grams of flax oil a day. Take 1 gram of borage oil a day. Take 1 or 2 capsules of milk thistle with each meal. Take 2 to 6 tablets folic acid, and he says that's 400 to 800 micrograms each day, and get yourself a pill minder box to put this all in. Basically, it is the same core 4 that we are telling you to do now, plus B complex, CoQ10, omega-3 oils, and folic acid. I think the recommendation for borage oil was because of the ratio of omega-3s to 6, and that he stopped worrying about that because he stopped recommending it. He once told me not to worry about omega-6 oils because you get plenty in your diet. After this preliminary advice, he adds, try lecithin and choline and B12 and see how you respond. I guess he didn't know where to put this advice. There's no guidance about how much. He has often been precise in his recommendations, actually. He says things like, take 1 or 2 capsules with each meal. How big a capsule? Or something like, take something routinely. How much of that he doesn't say. He sends us to the therapeutic agents section and says, when dosages are not listed here, they need to be individualized using the information there and by experiment, all right? but I can't find the therapeutic agents section in the book. He once told me that most people are not used to the idea of taking the large doses of vitamins and supplements that he recommends. In the end, then, for some things like C and magnesium, you should take as much as you can and in general figure doses out for yourself by experiment. If taking a lot was not a good idea, he warned you like he does for selenium or vitamin A for pregnant women in the later Materia Medica section in Amalgam Illness. After this preliminary general advice, he takes things problem by problem. He gives suggestions of things to try for dry skin, anxiety, depression, autoimmune problems, rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia, hypoglycemia, migraines, heart pain, attention deficit, emotional volatility, allergies and asthma, viruses, bacterial infections, and poor digestion. All things that mercury can do to you. It's a punch list for the poor person who is so sick and doesn't know where to start. And here's a summary. It's a bit of a laundry list, but I'm going to read it out anyway, and later I'll post this all in written form so you can read it. For dry skin, lots of flax oil, 1 to 3 ounces. For anxiety, go to cola with niacinamide, with B6 and with GABA, GABA, with a caveat that if you have poor digestion, add taurine and go lightly on the GABA. Also go lightly on the GABA if you have, quote, trouble with codeine. For stress, take DHEA and pregnenolone. What he had to say about depression was in no particular order, so I grouped it all here. It is interesting to compare with what he had to say on pages 105 to 108 in the detox manual. So for depression, take 100 milligrams a day of zinc plus 2 to 3 milligrams of folic acid, as these may work quickly. Also try St. John's wort plus 500 to 1,000 milligrams of niacinamide plus 500 milligrams of acetylcarnitine with each meal and at bedtime. Try pregnenolone with breakfast and lunch. Add phenylalanine with breakfast and lunch if you are not prone to anxiety. If your depression, inability to concentrate, etc. is not responding, he put that in capitals, to other medicines or supplements, take phosphatidylserine, 600 milligrams for the first 2 weeks, and after that, 300 milligrams a day. If you have no energy, motivation, and can't get anything done, try 12.5 milligrams of ephedrine in the morning and then 6.25 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours until 6 p.m. If the ephedrine doesn't do the trick, you can also try ginseng, gotu kola, ginkgo biloba, licorice, ginger, and astragalus. You can also try pseudoephedrine or tyrosine. For attention and concentration problems, try DMAE plus lecithin plus choline. Start slowly with the DMAE if you are chemically sensitive. Try nicotine patches. If you are emotionally disturbed or have, quote, crazy thoughts, try glutamine. If you never ever have runny nose or skin rashes or anything like that, try histidine and niacin. Try glutamine if you are thin and weak, fatigued, hypoglycemic, or have periodic depression. For autoimmune problems, try niacinamide, 500 to 1,000 milligrams, plus DHEA, plus borage oil, plus forskolin with each meal and at bedtime. If you have rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia, take ginger. Also try 1 to 3 ounces per day of flax oil, plus 4 to 8 grams per day of fish oil in divided doses for the first month. Take as much magnesium as you can tolerate and don't eat partially hydrogenated oils. For hypoglycemia, try 200 milligrams of chromium picolinate with every meal. Eat a high-protein diet and consider your adrenal function. Think about your adrenal function. Unless you are very thin and can't gain weight, try 1 to 2 grams of branched-chain amino acids with meals and at bedtime. If you have migraines, take ginger and watch out for too much arginine. For heart pain, take as much magnesium as possible. Take, quote, lots of arginine. Take a half to 1 gram of acetyl-L-carnitine 4 times per day, 200 to 400 milligrams of CoQ10, and 200 milligrams of chromium picolinate. And don't eat sweets or high-carb meals. For allergies or asthma, take 2 grams of vitamin C 4 times per day, plus more magnesium, borage oil, DHEA, forskolin, and selenium than you're already using. Drink a lot of strong black tea. Take showers and rinse your hair whenever you are having trouble. For trouble with viruses, which means herpes and or long colds, take a ½ gram of lysine with each meal and take inositol routinely. When you get sick, take elderberry or grapefruit seed extract plus echinacea or astragalus for the duration. If you have problems with bacteria, take 1 to 2 grams of arginine with each meal. As with viruses, take grapefruit seed extract. If you feel that your digestion is so bad you're never going to be able to tolerate any of these supplements, start off with getting E, C, magnesium, and B2 into place. Then help your digestion by taking bifidobacteria and lactobacillus acidophilus probiotics, starting with what it says on the bottle and working up to 10 to 15 times that amount over the course of a few weeks. He seems to have thought that those probiotics were fine and no need for anything fancier. You should take these probiotics with, quote, a very small amount of iron supplement, a lactose food, or FOS, fructooligosaccharides, 5 to 10 grams per day. Then try 2 grams of glucosamine plus 2 to 10 grams of glycine, ginger, animal-derived digestive enzymes to try and see what helps. Eat raw fruit or vegetable daily to increase fiber. If you tolerate dairy, eat lots of yogurt. Ginger will help with nausea or to improve the appetite. People who have difficulty tolerating supplements can at least get coenzymated B complex in sublingual form. And you could absorb loads of magnesium by doing Epsom salt soaks. He points out that controlling your diet can be the most profound thing you can do for symptoms. If you can't manage to figure out your diet, then the worst offenders found in the food supply that you should try to avoid are BHT, BHA, and TBHQ, which are preservatives, then sodium sulfite or sodium metabisulfite, and partially hydrogenated oils, and FD&C yellow number 5, or tartrazine, I believe it's called. Finally, he advises you to try and be happy and optimistic, to get some exercise and enough sleep, and find other people with similar problems and talk to them and find out what worked for them. In conclusion, this what to do if you can't get medical help is aimed at the poor person who is as sick as a dog and doesn't know what to do. It's a big laundry list of things to try. How much to take and whether they will work are for you and whether they are going to agree with you, you will have to figure out for yourself. This still holds true 23 years later. You never know how anybody is going to react to any particular thing, and you will need to proceed, quote, by experiment. Chronic mercury is very mercurial that way. And I'll post a written version of this tomorrow, I think with some corrections, or the next day, so you could read it as well as listen to it. Don't forget about my online support group, which is only $17 a month until the end of June. It's getting kind of interesting over there, and I'm enjoying interacting with people. And so please like and share and all those things you're supposed to do with these videos. Let's get the word out about this undiagnosed epidemic that is chronic mercury poisoning.